All right, time for another update on the world of Cleo of Topless Topics and what the near future is likely to include. Election that's almost certainly going to Trump aside. So I've reached the point where I just feel like even though Medicaid is unlikely to ever agree to pay for it, I have to get my dad into a memory care nursing home. He's actually, as far as I know, asleep right now. It's 8 in the morning. We've been experimenting with this new pill that's supposed to help him sleep through the night. Unfortunately, it only seems to work about half the time. So, like last night, he actually slept through the night, but the cats are fighting. Anyway, last night he actually didn't get up in the middle of the night, but I'm so attuned to him yelling for help that I kept waking up anyway, thinking I could hear him. And then the night before that, again, he didn't call for us during the night, but when my husband went to go check on him at 5:30 in the morning, he had taken his clothes off, including his diaper, and was hanging halfway off the bed. And all of yesterday, he was really out of it. He was like maybe 60% cogent himself and 40% hallucinating and confused and imagining conversations that had never happened and thinking that he was feeding himself when there was nothing in his hand. So, but the day before that, he was pretty much normal. That's the wild thing about dementia, is that it's very day by day. Some days they're mostly themselves, some days they're living on another planet. And as the dementia gets worse, the bad days are going to be more and more frequent. And I just can't anymore. And it's nerve-wracking because the situation, as I've talked about before, is that when my mom died 3 years ago, I started a joint bank account with my dad, and then closed out all my mom's various accounts with other banks and transferred the money to the joint account. And then we had a little bit of life insurance from her that went to me and my dad split, and then an inherited IRA that all went to me, and just all these different sources of income. And then of course my dad's Social Security and retirement survivorship annuity, which is just over $2,000 a month. And with Medicaid, you have to have under $2,000 a month to even qualify. And then once they start paying for a nursing home, you're only allowed to have $100, and everything else has to go to the nursing home. But I'm still confused how that works. If you don't get enough to pay for the nursing home, do you write a check for what you have and then Medicaid writes a check for the rest? I don't understand. But anyway, because we have this mixed bank account, and because my dad has a life insurance policy that my mom started 40 years ago that we've been paying into this whole time, even though we transferred the ownership and the beneficiary to me 2 years ago, Medicaid has this lovely thing called the look back period, where they look back at the last 5 years and scrutinize any transfer of money, any large purchases. And by large, I mean it could be $300, and that could be something that they go oh, this is suspicious. And so they are guaranteed to at least count the cost of the cash-in value of the life insurance, which is how much we would get if we cashed in this insurance, which is way less than the actual death benefit. But it's basically, so they're definitely going to put a penalty on that, which, due to calculations, would basically be 6 months that we would have to private pay for a nursing home before Medicaid would even consider paying. And that is $8,000 to $12,000 a month. My dad makes $2,200 a month. I am lucky to make $1,000 a month, and that's if I work my fucking ass off begging for money and, selling access to my content, which I really don't want to do. But again, I'm banned from monetization when I'm not banned outright, so I have no other source of income other than soliciting tips from people who don't give a shit about my fight for topless equality and just want to see today's. There is no fucking way we can afford $8,000 to $12,000. The only thing that we can do is get a loan out against the cash value of the life insurance, which is enough to pay for 4 months, maybe. And like I said, I'm going to work my ass off trying to get any income I can to put towards paying for a nursing home for my dad, who's suffering more and more from dementia and cancer every day. And then pray that not going to happen, but by some miracle, Medicaid decides to make the penalty less, or my dad dies. Because if neither of those happen, what's going to happen is we're going to run out of money. We're going to have to take my dad back out of the nursing home. I'm going to have to go back to being his full-time caretaker, which is already fucking hard enough at the state that he's at now, where he wakes me up crying at 2 a.m. out of confusion, like every 3 nights, every 2 nights. He's going to be 5 months worse in 5 months. And who knows how bad that'll be. So yeah. By the way, in case you didn't know, one of the many aspects of Project 2025, do you have to sharpen your claws right now? Anyway, one of the major tent poles of Project 2025, which is the GOP plan to, do a federal outlaw on abortion, ban porn, ban birth control, gut voting rights even more, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is to gut Medicaid even more. We are in a blue state. We are in Washington. My dad is barely getting by. All the money that we got 3 years ago from my mom is long gone. And even we are having a really hard time getting Medicaid to pay anything. How do you think it's going to be for people who don't even have an able-bodied person like me to do all the paperwork for them? How, this labyrinthian system where it's taking months and months to try to get paperwork from all these companies proving what money went to who and, all this other stuff. If it is that impossible for us to get Medicaid, how is it going to be for people who don't have someone like me to do all the work for them and who don't have a life insurance policy that they can use, until it runs out for memory care nursing home? I understand a lot of people have fallen for the propaganda of thinking that both sides are the same. That's unfortunately, you are just very unaware of the reality if that's what you honestly feel. And there's too much to even get into in this video, and I don't really think it's necessarily going to work anyway. I think if you're still convinced that voting for Kamala Harris is exactly the same as voting for Trump, there's anything that can change your mind. But the next president is going to pick 2, 3, 4 Supreme Court justices, and we've already seen the damage that Supreme Court can cause. And the GOP is going to go full steam ahead with Project 2025. And if you do not use every ounce of voting power you have to get the least fascist option, I mean, Kamala's not a fascist. Like, yeah, there's policies she has that I greatly disagree with, but if you think Kamala is a fascist, then you really are using that word way too loosely. If we do not get Kamala into office, Trump will win, and everyone will suffer. Everyone who isn't a straight white cis male Christian will suffer. And there's a lot of people that are already suffering a lot, and it's going to be 10,000 times worse for them. Yeah, please get your head out of your ass, please, and bother to vote. And don't waste your vote on a third party. Vote for Kamala, because otherwise Trump wins, and everything is going to be 9,000 times worse.